In the visual arts, we use the term figure and ground a lot. And the figure is always something that we think of when we see a picture. It is the thing that we see sitting on top of a background. So this black square is basically the figure, and this white here is the background. Even if I add more pieces to it and make this shape a little bigger, we still see it as a black shape on a white ground. So this is the figure, that's the ground. If I were to take some white piece, a white piece, and put it here, we see that as a white triangle on top of a black ground. I could add more to this, make that bigger. Again, it still looks like a white shape on top of a black ground. Now, here, I could add a big piece of black paper, and it starts to not be so clear which one is on top of the other. Is the black on top of the white or the white on top of the ground? If I do this, well, now it starts to look like the black is on top of the white. The small black piece looks like it's on top because it's surrounded by white. And we automatically associate the large black piece with the small black piece because they're the same color. So they both look like they're on top. But what if I add this? It looks like the white is on top of the black. However, if I take this triangle and I move it so that it's touching on the white area, now they seem connected. And now it appears as though there's an opening. And like we're seeing that white triangle through a cutout in the black. But we know that the white's on top of the black. If I did this, same result, only this is in truth, this is the white being seen through the dark, the black. So how you arrange the shapes in your design will affect what we see in terms of which are the figures on top and which parts are the background. In general, creating an integration between the background and the figure is a good thing. In a way, what it does is it unifies the design. It ties these two halves together because of the way this is kind of forking over. And it engages this space in here. And it engages this space in here. They're all kind of locked together. Almost like a woodworking term is dovetail joints. They're tied together. But the angles give it activity. So it's a very strong, unified arrangement. So the challenge for this project is to create 3 designs. On one, you want to have the illusion of a dark shape on a white ground, the illusion of a light shape on a dark ground, and the illusion of a figure and ground integration this way. So you're not sure what's the figure, what's the ground. It could go both ways. The trick is you're going to use all the same materials. All of your backgrounds are going to be white. They are all going to be 4 inches by 4 inches. And then what you're going to do is cut black paper that is exactly half the 4 inch by 4 inch measurement. In addition, you want each of these to be divided up into 5 to 7 shapes, and they should be identical. So you have the same shapes on each of these. So it will be entirely your arrangement that creates the illusion of a black shape on a white ground, a white shape on a black ground, and an integrated figure and ground composition. So the next step is to lay out a very simple design on one of these sheets with a graphite pencil. You should only have 5 to 7 pieces, so keep it simple. And I want to have some shapes that are perhaps organic and some that are not. But in most cases, it will look good to have both. Now that I've got it laid out, the easiest way to cut the pieces out is to use scissors. And I'm going to actually tape it together so I can cut all of them at once. And then I know they'll be the same I've got this taped up. I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces. I'm going to put one more little piece right here. And now I'm going to start cutting it up. So now we basically have 3 sets of these puzzle pieces, and what I want to do is separate them all and put one set on each of these white squares. Okay, now to start with, I'm going to move this aside right here. I want to arrange these, and I want to make this look like we have a white shape on top of a black background. And probably the easiest thing to do first is to put these straight edges on the outside, because that starts to frame our shape right there, like that. Now, you don't want to overlap. You want to have the same amount of material on each. So this dark round circle looks a little bit like a dark spot on a light ground, but for the most part, this all looks like one big shape. You know, I could put this in here. It looks like a littler shape, so I'm going to move it around to where I think it makes a more interesting design. Maybe right there. Almost looks like a weird hand there. The inside. Now, if I take these flat edges and I put them next to each other, preserving some of those flat edges is very helpful because you can add to them very easily. You know, they line up pretty well. So that gives you a sort of interesting dark shape on top of the white background. Now, for the final piece, you want to create a sense of integration between the foreground and the background. So the black and white, as you see, when something is surrounded by another color, it looks like it's on top. So you want to have, in some cases, some black shapes surrounded by white areas and some white shapes surrounded by black areas. So you just arrange the pieces until you get an interesting play between the shapes. So if you can manage this, you can't go wrong. You will have, in the end, a very unified composition. So once you've got these glued down and you're satisfied, you can take a picture of it. And I just recommend using your iPhone. You notice that there's these little cross lines on the top of your iPhone. One is like a yellow X and one is a white X. I want to line those up so that they just match perfectly. Then I know my camera is perpendicular to the images that I'm taking a picture of. I can get a really good picture that way. In this case, I need to get rid of that shadow, but I can do that easily by going to the editing section and cropping it. And then I can submit it online.